Hello and welcome back to this Library of Ruina series. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to easily defeat the Queen of Hatred and Knight of Despair. Let's get started. The Queen of Hatred is a fairly large spike in difficulty for many players. With the max emotion level being 1, you need to be very aware of all your librarian's light levels and the Queen's attack patterns in order to have the light you need to clash with the right cards. You also probably need to tailor some decks to specifically counter her. This is what I found required the least thinking. 2 Saya with 2 Rules of the Backstreets, 2 Cleanup, 2 Dark Cloud, and 3 Sharpened Blade, and 1 Oscar with 3 Weight Up, 3 Shocking Blow, 1 Structural Analysis, and 2 Transpierce. This is because most of the Queen's combat pages are ranged, so having a singular powerful die is good to counter it. Additionally, all of your librarians should have the Deep Wound and Snipe passes, and your Sayos should have Digging Shank, and your Oscar should get Battle Ready. These will all make the fight much easier. Anyway, let's get into the fight itself. In the first scene, the Queen uses Arcana Beads, which marks a target, changing their resistances to weak and making them get prioritized with the Queen's attacks in the subsequent scene. Her other 2 dice will either be using In the Name of Justice or In the Name of Love and Justice. It's important to note that unless you're very lucky, you'll only have 2 of your librarians emo up. Ideally, you get Oscar to clash into In the Name of Love and Justice, and one of the Sayos to clash into In the Name of Love with Sharpened Blade and Arcana Beads with Dark Cloud. The last Sayo should free hit with a Sharpened Blade and a Cleanup to stay at max light. If the Queen casts 2 In the Name of Love, Oscar will need to cast a Weight Up to emo up because it gives a guaranteed emotion coin. On the next scene, you want to emo up with your other Sayo if possible. Even if they liberaled, it's alright because the Queen will cast With Love, which has 2 defensive dice. If you let it free hit the marked target and then have your emo 0 clash with the defensive dice, then she'll emo up. It's imperative that your Oscar can always cast 1 clashing card, which is why we have 3 copies of Shocking Blow, which lets you cast on 3 light and still have enough for the next scene. You might have also noticed that the Queen has a lot of offensive dice. Because of this, our main condition is going to be bleeding her out. Freeing her too much will cause her to transform and become much harder at casting extremely powerful cards. On the 4th scene, she'll use the first mass attack of the game, Arcana Slave. Essentially, mass attacks are attacks that target all librarians and clash with the die it's targeting, regardless of whether that die is aimed back at the mass attack. There are 2 types of mass attacks, individual, which work like normal clashes, and summation, which add up the total of the opposing page into 1. Thankfully, this one only rolls 13 summation, which shouldn't be too hard to beat with Structural Analysis or Sharpened Blade. On scene 4, as long as the Queen is below 100 HP, you should try to nuke her down with Sharpened Blade and Dark Cloud on both Sayos. Even if you don't kill her, you'll probably inflict upwards of 15 to 20 bleed, which will shred her remaining health regardless of if you clash or not. After defeating the Queen of Hatred, you'll get access to these Abnormality pages. Love is a very powerful sustain card, giving your entire team a bit more staying power. Justice is a strong damage card, especially against receptions with single enemies where you'll always be hitting the villain. Hate is an interesting card. It incentivizes losing clashes by making you stronger, but it makes it harder to lose clashes when you do. It definitely requires building around and hasn't yet reached its full potential, but it's by no means a terrible card. Now, let's move on to the Knight of Despair. This fight has you facing 3 Swords of a Forgotten Knight. They use some fairly weak pages, but at the start of the fight, one of them gains the tier status and uses special pages that are much more threatening as they do percent HP damage. Dropping the Sword's HP to 0 will progress the fight to the next phase. I find that you can generally kill it in one phase if you don't target any of the other swords. The next phase is where things get interesting. The swords will all use a unique page, and if it doesn't deal damage, will impale the knight and deal 50 damage to her. Against Heart Piercing Sword, any card with a strong 1 will do the trick. Against Heart Tearing Sword or Heart Breaking Sword, however, cards like Transpierce with a strong 1 or weak 2 will become a bit more problematic. I personally use Tailing to deal with the other 2, but cards with a strong singular die will be best, much like when fighting the Queen. After all 3 swords impale the knight, she'll become targetable for 1 scene. This is where you want to nuke her down with your highest damage pages, but be careful not to use too much as you're not likely to kill her in 1 rotation, and after that scene the swords will come back to how they were in the first phase and you'll need to do it again. After defeating the Knight of Despair, you'll get access to these Abnormality pages. Blessing turns one of your librarians into a real tank, changing some of the resistances to injured based on the situation. Despair is a decent page if you're struggling, making your dying allies more power for the ones left standing. This is another page that gets stronger later in the game. Finally, Blades Wetted by Teardrops enhances your Pierce type by making them deal a bunch of extra damage if they max roll. Obviously, this is best on pages that have a very consistent range like Weight Up. In the next video, we'll be starting the next chapter with Urban Nightmare. However, I'll be doing the first row right to left instead of left to right. In any case, I'll see you soon, and as always, thank you for watching.